Chapter 321, Can't Wait Any Longer. At 9:30 in the evening, Fang Hao heard the sound of the door opening. Upon checking, he saw his former mother-in-law had returned. Professor Zhou. Upon hearing this title, Zhou Fen's body paused for a moment. She then clutched her chest with one hand, looking quite distressed. Standing in the middle of the doorway, she neither entered nor retreated. Fang Hao asked, "What's wrong? Not feeling well? I told you not to wander around, and now you're falling ill? You have to call me Mom before I can come in." "Professor Zhou, it's quite late, please leave." "Country bumpkin." Zhou Fen, feeling helpless and not being an actress, released her hand from her chest. She said, "Really, last night I almost died. I had to lower my dignity to get you to speak. Mom, stop the nonsense and come in." "Ah." Zhou Fen suddenly felt clear skies and a good mood. "Oh, it seems they haven't discovered Su Ro's scandal. Fang Hao, you can rest assured." After Zhou Fen sat down, Fang Hao asked, "How is it?" "We've figured it out. It was old Zhang Lingtian, who helped Jia Jia's treatment and contacted foreign hospitals. Last night, I should have thought of it, besides old Zhang, no one else would help Su Ro like this." Taking a sip of water, she continued, "Since old Zhang is busy with this matter, we can relax. He will find the best doctor for Jia Jia and provide the best treatment. Su Ro and her daughter should be back soon. Fang Hao, you can rest easy. The old guy is indeed skillful, performing flawlessly, leaking no information." "Too bad, I know what kind of people you are." Fang Hao said, "Can old Zhang still talk to you for so long? Is he recovered?" "Not really, he's still battered and bruised, looking even more haggard than before." "Ah, at this age, it's not easy. Maybe one day." "How do you know?" "Because I beat him." "You beat him?" Zhou Fen looked at Fang Hao in surprise, full of disbelief. The next sentence slipped out, "Why did you beat him?" "Well, you should ask him. I'd like to know how he'll explain it to you." Fang Hao really wanted to reveal his ex-wife's scandal, but the consequences were too unpredictable. "How did you manage to beat him?" "I don't mean you couldn't defeat him, but he is a cautious person. I suspect he has paranoia, always feeling someone wants to harm him." "So, how did you get to him when he usually stays hidden?" Seeing Fang Hao's expression, Zhou Fen knew he wasn't lying. Considering the situation when she saw Zhang Lingtian with a swollen face, it seemed Fang Hao had indeed fought him. "His home is in Tianji Peak. I went straight there and beat him up." Speaking of Tianji Peak, last time I made some money from stock trading, Director Lu's husband said he'd give it all to me. If I wanted, I could have bought a house directly. But, I felt that place was full of filth, very disgusting. Fang Hao continued, aware that his ex-wife's lover was in Tianji Peak. He initially wanted to buy a house there to prove he wasn't inferior to the lover, to show off in front of his ex-wife. However, when he found out the lover was Zhang Lingtian, an old man, Fang Hao didn't want to buy a house there anymore. He just wanted to live a simple and plain life with his son. "I see. Regardless of your motives, even if you are justified, it's not right to resort to violence. As the saying goes, in a fight between two people, the loser goes to the hospital, and the winner goes to the police station." Zhou Fen pondered. Based on her understanding of Zhang Lingtian's personality, she felt he wouldn't be a silent and benevolent person. As he aged, he seemed even more casual, sharp, and extreme. Moreover, they just witnessed someone coming to plead with Zhang Lingtian, hoping for leniency, but Zhang Lingtian refused. On her way back, she asked Su Buiyuan and learned that the person pleading was from Blue Sky Group. The stock of Blue Sky Group had become worthless, given away like rotten cabbage. Additionally, the chairman of Blue Sky Group suffered a cerebral hemorrhage and was lying in the ICU of a Chinese medicine hospital. It didn't end there. Every day, people came to the Chinese medicine hospital to demand debts, making it difficult for the chairman to receive proper treatment. Zhang Lingtian was a ruthless and cunning person who could leave nothing but bones after devouring someone. How could he let Fang Hao off after Fang Hao had beaten him? Was it because of meat in Su Buiyuan's face? But Fang Hao and Su Ro are divorced. Fang Hao is no longer considered our son-in-law. Would old Zhang still give face? This shouldn't be the case. A few years ago, my nephew Zhou offended old Zhang and had his legs broken. Old Zhang didn't give face to me and Su Buiyuan then. Yet, old Zhang spared Fang Hao. Could it be that Fang Hao was justified? Zhou Fen felt there was still a risk. While Fang Hao went to comfort Tian, she went to the study to call her husband, Su Buiyuan. Hearing Su Buiyuan's somewhat breathless voice, she asked, "It's so late, what are you doing?" "The elevator is broken, and I just climbed 6 floors. Have you explained things to Fang Hao?" "It was Lingtian who helped," so tell Fang Hao to come and check Lingtian's injuries another day. I've been hearing more and more people praising Fang Hao's medical skills. I told him, but don't be too happy yet. The injuries on old Zhang's face were not from a fall, he was beaten by someone, and that someone is Fang Hao. What are you saying? Fang Hao beat Lingtian? Zhou Fen was about to say it was Fang Hao when she heard a startled scream from the other end of her husband's phone. As a wife, she immediately realized the relationship between her husband and that woman. Su Buiyuan, separated from me, couldn't wait to find his graduate student. Is he so infatuated with a young body? She heard her husband's hurried breathing twice, followed by the sound of hanging up. Climbing stairs? Climbing 6 floors? I bet you're climbing that female graduate student. Shameless. Zhou Fen was infuriated to the point of aching, and she even lost strength, collapsing onto the bed. Fortunately, she was sitting on the bed while making the call, otherwise, she would have fallen to the floor. Instinctively, she reached out to press the elderly bell placed by Fang Hao on the bedside. Then, her eyes went black, and she fainted. When she woke up again, she found herself still lying on the bed in the room, but Fang Hao was sitting by the bed, and there was an enforced stand next to him. Fang Hao was giving her an infusion. She tried to sit up. Don't move randomly. Your heart condition didn't act up. Why did you faint? Tomorrow I have to take you to the hospital for a full-body CT scan to see if there are any hidden illnesses. Fang Hao was a bit puzzled. His mother-in-law's pulse was fine, and her heart rate was normal. She shouldn't have fainted. I'm fine. I was angered by your dad. He just brought me over, saying he was going home. In reality, he went to find his female graduate student. At his age, is he in such a hurry? Zhou Fen didn't hide anything from Fang Hao because Fang Hao had told her about this before. She had also seen her husband come home late, with lipstick on his collar or other perfume scents, and he was always exhausted, likely having slept shortly after returning. From all these signs, she had reason to believe that her husband had a younger woman outside. Now you know how I feel. Still, advise me to reconcile with him? Fang Hao said lightly, for both men and women, affairs could become addictive. There was no such thing as a one-time affair. Either don't have an affair, or if you do, it will inevitably happen countless times. Chapter 322, Opportunity Presents Itself. Seeing his former mother-in-law silent, Fang Hao spoke, you should be angry and frustrated now, feeling like you've loved someone who isn't worth it. No, I don't think he's not worth it. Zhou Fen firmly said, Su Buiyuan and I have been through these decades. Maybe I haven't given him storms and rain, and I didn't expect him to give me romance or repay my tenderness. We discuss family matters together, and our work outside doesn't interfere with each other. We've each achieved success. I haven't tied him down, and he hasn't held me back. We've supported and understood each other, and that's how we've come this far. Now I'm old, my health is not good, but he is not old, he still wants to experience youth. Professor Zhou, you're serving chicken soup for the soul. But, I do admire and envy you. You've truly grown old together. Even if Professor Su wants to play around now, he can't possibly leave you. His heart has always been with you. He can't leave you. Considering the cost and risk, he also feels it's not worth leaving. But having an affair is having an affair, no need to conceal or decorate it. Unlike us, Suro betrayed me, and not just once or twice. I won't forgive her. Now she claims she still loves me, wants to remarry me, but it's only because that person hasn't promised her, hasn't said the words to marry her, hasn't given her a wedding ring. So, she wants to use me to stimulate him. I know her too well, so I know she's insincere. Fang Hao glanced at Zhou Fen and said, you don't believe me. I can bet with you. Once she gets the commitment from that person, she'll immediately turn around and leave. Call a dog for 3 days, and it will remember me for 3 years. But if I treat someone well for 3 years, as long as she leaves for 3 days, she'll forget me. Who is that jerk? I and Suro are divorced. Don't make me reopen old wounds. I'm a failure. Mentioning that person's name is just cheering for him. I use my misery to comfort you, not to make you remember the pain I caused. Fang Hao looked at the 4 bag. In a few minutes, he said, oh, by the way, how did you know Professor Su was messing around over there? I heard it on the phone. At his age, tired and panting, he still has the courage to answer the phone. Does he think I'm so old that I can't hear clearly? Professor Su, you are playing with fire so recklessly. Fang Hao suddenly thought that when his ex-wife and her lover were together before, they might have continued answering the phone because it would be very exciting. That scene was too disgusting. He sighed and said, the world is vast and the universe is bright. Let's not talk about these trivial matters. I mentioned that I beat Zhang Lingtian just now, and you find it unbelievable. Are you afraid he will retaliate against me? As far as I know old Zhang, he will definitely retaliate against you. But it's all in the past. He's also helping Su Ro take Jia Jia abroad for treatment. He shouldn't make things difficult for you anymore. Moreover, considering our relationship with Su Buiyuan, he won't make things difficult for you, right? That old guy let Su Ro and Jia Jia go abroad because they are his illegitimate children. If he doesn't help Jia Jia, it's like not helping his daughter. How can he face Su Ro? Do you have such a big face? Fang Hao said, oh, how will he retaliate against me then? Although you have a big face, I'm afraid it's not big enough. Will he still target me? So, what do you think he will do? I need to be prepared. Have you heard of Blue Sky Group? Fang Hao sensitively perceived something. He asked, heard of it, what's wrong? Blue Sky Group went bankrupt. Now their chairman is lying in a Chinese medicine hospital with a cerebral hemorrhage. Outside the intensive care unit, people come every day to demand debts, making it restless. Bankrupt? That's a group with a scale of over 10 billion. Last month, or not even a month ago, it was still fine. How can it suddenly go bankrupt? This is the heartless side of old Zhang. Once he pursues interests, he disregards the life and death of others. As for how he did it, I don't know. You can ask Su Buiyuan when you have the chance. Fang Hao nodded, remembering this matter. After the 4 bag was emptied, Fang Hao chatted with Zhou Fen for a few more moments and then let her rest. He went to the study, checked the information about the Blue Sky Group, and found online reports of bankruptcy, family disputes, and struggles for inheritance. The stock price had plummeted from 10 yuan per share to just a few cents. The government did not provide bankruptcy protection but instead allowed direct bankruptcy liquidation. The main force behind the liquidation was Jiulong Group. Fang Hao even saw a picture of Zhou Yun leading a team into the Blue Sky Group. Zhou Yun? Her headache got better? The internal situation of Blue Sky Group has long been chaotic. The family's internal management system is not standardized, the industrial structure is unreasonable, and there is financial fraud. If it's not rectified, it's a big pit. Fang Hao recalled Su Buiyuan's words, sighed, and thought, under an avalanche, no snowflake is innocent. Let me see if there's an opportunity for me to enter. Fang Hao browsed as much information as possible, whether official reports, forum discussions, or rumors, and quickly integrated them. Back in the bedroom, Fang Hao received a video call on WeChat. It was a transoceanic communication from his ex-wife. After hesitating for a moment, he answered, holding the camera towards his sleeping son. Unexpectedly, his ex-wife also turned the camera towards Jia Jia receiving treatment. Oh, Su Buiyuan and his wife went to see the old guy and didn't find out about their scandal. Learning this from overseas, Su Ro felt there was no crisis? Fang Hao said, it's late here, and you've seen our son. He's fine. There's nothing else, so let's end the call. Husband, I want to see you. I don't want to see you. Fang Hao noticed that his ex-wife flipped the camera, revealing her flawless eyes and forehead. Husband, let me see you too. Fang Hao ignored her and asked, what's going on with Chang Yu? How is she? Hate it. Don't mention other women in front of me. In the video, Su Ro glared and directly hung up. Don't want to mention it? Chang Yu is the key to causing a rift between Chang and Li's families and the old guy. If I don't mention it, it won't work. The more you don't want to mention it, the more I can't let you have your way. Fang Hao frowned. He absolutely couldn't let the old guy live comfortably. Late into the night, he organized his thoughts as much as possible and rested. The next day, he sent his son to the kindergarten with Zhou Fen and then took her to the hospital for a full body scan to ensure everything was fine. He then treated Cheng Lao, who still hadn't slept well, and used acupuncture to help him sleep. He asked Li Dong's wife, won't you tell me where Cheng Yu is? Dr. Fang, I can do anything you ask, but this person you're talking about has already been issued a gag order. I can't say. Li Dong's wife was embarrassed. Fang Hao shook his head and didn't say much. Coincidentally, Huang Yidao also arrived, needing him to perform a major surgery related to heart and brain issues. Seeing the family's consent form, Fang Hao knew that if the surgery failed, he wouldn't be held responsible. Chapter 323, Illegitimate Daughter. Everything went smoothly. 3 hours later, the surgery ended perfectly, successfully saving the patient's life. Fang Hao sighed with relief, washed up, went to the smoking area, and directly reached into Huang Yidao's pocket, pulling out Huazi cigarettes and lighting one up. Huang Yidao squinted, thinking that this guy's face showed no joy or sorrow, and he was completely unflustered, not at all like someone who had just completed a challenging surgery and saved an important patient. He said, "Tomorrow, remember to check the newspaper. You'll be surprised." "Oh, what do you mean?" "You'll find out tomorrow morning. It's not fun if I tell you in advance." Huang Yidao kept the suspense. Changing the subject, he said, "Zhou Long is flying to the capital this afternoon. There's an organized meeting arranged by the director of the third hospital of the capital." "He's leaving? Is their efficiency so high now?" Fang Hao was a bit surprised. He had only mentioned it to Zhou Fan not long ago, and it had already reached the Zhou family and started to operate. Huang Yidao said, "Maybe he has lofty ambitions, and he has had this idea for a long time. If you ignore him, after he leaves, there won't be a direct appointment from above. Yang Wenjin also has no hope. Instead, Vice Director Chen, who is in charge of discipline inspection and rectification, will temporarily take over. In the past 3 or 4 months, frequent changes in leadership have made the higher-ups feel chaotic, so they let an old-timer come out. Everyone is not competing now." "Vice Director Chen?" Fang Hao rarely saw this deputy director. He only remembered that the guy was a 70-year-old man who only attended major meetings. Usually, he taught at the university and held the title of associate professor. According to actual age, Vice Director Chen should have retired, but because his son held a leadership position in the provincial organization and was in charge of ideology, he didn't take the initiative to step down. The health bureau didn't appoint anyone, and Yang Wenjin didn't force him to step down. Haha, this unexpected thing is that personnel adjustments between departments have been temporarily suspended, and you have to stay in the outpatient department. This is Vice Director Chen's idea. He wants to review the files of every person before approving any transfers. I didn't think of transferring. Do you want to move me to the surgery department? Fang Hao felt that Huang Yidao was up to something. Hee, didn't it work out just fine? Huang Yidao laughed. If Fang Hao were transferred to the surgery department, even if he didn't compete for the position of hospital director, staying as the head or deputy head of the surgery department would be more than enough. In that case, he could end the transfer, go back to the capital, and enjoy the warmth of home with his wife and children. But now, he saw Fang Hao treating patients without seeking rewards. It seemed that, for the sake of improving his medical skills, even if he was treated unfairly, he treated it as if nothing had happened, calm and terrifyingly composed. He couldn't figure out what Fang Hao was thinking. Perhaps it was because the time he spent with Fang Hao was too short to understand him deeply. Or maybe, all men who have just experienced a broken marriage are like this. Fang Hao returned to the inpatient department. As soon as he took out some biscuits, Li Dong's wife came in carrying a lunchbox, bringing him food. This isn't good. Fang Hao opened the lunchbox, apologized with words of embarrassment, but his stomach was too honest. At this time, Li Dong's wife sat down, extended her hand, and asked Fang Hao to check her pulse. She said, "Look at me and see if there's anything wrong with my body. I want to have another child with old Li." "Oh, let me take a look." Fang Hao reached out, checked her pulse, found a slight issue, and said, "Aren't you already the mother of 3 children? 2 daughters and a son, right? Why do you want to have another?" "All 3 children have average grades, nothing outstanding, especially that boy. His brain is not very sharp, a test of his brain development showed that it's slightly below average. In the future, he can only be a very ordinary person." Li Dong's wife sighed. "Oh, if you want to have another child, you can go to the gynecology department for a detailed examination, then adjust for a month, and you'll be fine." Fang Hao didn't say much and focused on eating. Li Dong's wife had a minor issue, a gynecological inflammation. As long as she went for an examination, it would be discovered, and timely treatment would solve the problem. In the afternoon, instead of going to the surgery department, Fang Hao stayed in the temporary office to study medical cases. Around 4 o'clock, he received a call from Zhou Fan, asking him to come back and, on the way, pick up someone from Jiangdong University. She had given a day off to the young daughter-in-law of the Zhou family. During the routine afternoon rounds, Fang Hao noticed that Professor Cheng seemed to be in much better spirits. She could lift one leg to a height of 10 centimeters, a significant improvement from the time when she had no sensation in her feet. "Dr. Fang, if I had found you for treatment earlier, would I have stood up by now?" Professor Cheng had a tinge of regret and felt that Fang Hao was a hidden gem. Fang Hao said, "Theoretically, yes. Early treatment leads to early recovery. However, in the recent period, I've been learning and improving, gaining a deeper understanding of medicine. I realized there were many things I didn't understand before. The past is the past. Now, let's focus on your treatment, and you will be able to stand up. Professor Cheng sighed. Yes, what's done is done, and what's to come is yet to be. In the future, I will continue to trouble Dr. Fang. I will do my best. Dr. Fang, I heard that you've recently performed several brain tumor surgeries. Do you also have expertise in neurology? Professor Cheng raised another question. Li Dong's wife's pupils constricted, hesitant to speak. Pathology is interconnected, and medical principles can complement each other. The field of the brain is very complex, and I am indeed studying it. If you have relatives, friends, or former subordinates in need of treatment in this area, I will do my best. I just wanted to ask. If someone needs treatment, I will recommend you. I will do my best. Fang Hao didn't boast, finished the examination, and left. Watching Fang Hao leave, Li Dong's wife came back and said, "Mother-in-law, why didn't you just speak directly? I didn't imply anything. Don't be clever on your own." Yes. The two women glanced at each other, not mentioning it again but understanding each other without words. Fang Hao drove to Jiangdong University but didn't see Zhou Fen. He called her and then went to the School of Arts. He found Zhou Fen standing outside a dance studio, looking inside. He took a glance and saw a dance floor with many young, beautiful, long-legged and slender university students rehearsing a Swan Lake performance under the guidance of their teacher. Fang Hao joked, "Professor Zhou, at your age, you still have an innocent heart. Do you also want to dance? I'm afraid your frame might fall apart instantly." Zhou Fen turned her head, rolled her eyes at Fang Hao, and grumbled, "You didn't call me Mom again. Mom, can you go back now? Your grandson is probably anxious." Fang Hao was helpless and didn't want to waste time. Zhou Fen continued to watch the students dancing inside. She pointed at the window with her finger, indicating a person, and said, "That one, in the red suspenders. Don't you find her very familiar?" Fang Hao looked over and said, "I know her, her name is Yue Xia Huo, the school flower of this department. She looks a lot like your daughter Suro. Are you reminded of your daughter when you see her?" "No, I'm reminded of myself. She gives me the feeling of my younger self, very much alike." Fang Hao was surprised and asked, "Oh, now that you mention it, I do feel a bit of a resemblance. The more I look, the more I see. Could she be your illegitimate daughter?" Chapter 324, Snatching Food from the Tiger's Mouth. Nonsense. How could I have an illegitimate daughter? Zhou Fen turned her head, glared at Fang Hao, and was about to twist his ear. Her son-in-law's words were becoming more and more absurd. He didn't even consider her age, and Zhou Jiajia was more than 20 years younger than her. Besides, she only had one daughter, Suro, and then she had an intrauterine device inserted. Pregnancy greatly affected her research, especially during the period of morning sickness. It was a nightmare for her, and she didn't want to go through it again. She's looking over here. I'll go and ask her to come out and inquire about her biological parents. She also has the surname Zhou. Perhaps she really shares the same lineage and bloodline as you. Fang Hao stared intently at Zhou Jiajia, who was walking towards them. The more he looked, the more she resembled his ex-wife, Suro. If he didn't know beforehand that Zhou Jiajia was not clean and had been with Zhang Lingtian and another man, he might have pursued her to replace his ex-wife. From his medical knowledge, if Zhou Jiajia hadn't undergone plastic surgery and wasn't a look-alike, then she really had a biological connection with Zhou Fen. In the past 4 years, although he knew little about the relatives of Zhou and Su families, he knew a bit. However, he had never heard that Zhou Fen had an illegitimate daughter. Since I have a DNA rapid identification instrument, I'll run another gel electrophoresis for Zhou Jiajia and compare it with Zhou Fen and Su Buiyuan for a paternity test. Fang Hao looked at Zhou Jiajia, noting down this goal, and then walked away with Zhou Fen. Inside the dance studio, Zhou Jiajia had also stopped. Somehow, she sensed something and turned to look. Unexpectedly, she saw Fang Hao. Her heart was filled with joy. She had recently participated in a performance and learned that Suro had divorced. Suro had even gone abroad recently, and now Fang Hao was a single man. This seemed to be the best opportunity for her to get Fang Hao. But she thought again. Fang Hao had just divorced, and he must be on guard against women. It might be even more challenging to directly win him over. Perhaps unconventional means could be used. In the car, Fang Hao asked, "Why did you come to Jiangdong University? To find Professor Su?" "It's not entirely to find old Su. He went out for fieldwork specifically to avoid me. I don't want to see him, humph." Zhou Fen was a bit annoyed and continued, I came to handle the retirement and reappointment procedures, allowing Fei Fei and the others to continue using the university's research room. Speaking of which, I have to thank you. You helped me overcome the project and solve that problem, letting me have a grand finale before retirement. Suabuyuan, you really don't know shame. It's only because I indulged you, otherwise, you would have fallen from grace. But tearing your face apart is a double-edged sword. If Zhou Fen and Su Buiyuan joined forces for so many years, they would have been in the same boat, sharing honor and disgrace. Fang Hao sighed in his heart and said, I also wanted to talk to Professor Su about the matter of Blue Sky Group. Blue Sky Group? What do you want to do? Snatch it. Now that Blue Sky Group can't benefit from bankruptcy protection and is on the verge of liquidation, the stock has plummeted. Even if you give it away for free, no one wants it. But I think Blue Sky Group can still be salvaged. If I can buy it at a low price, I might make a fortune. That's old Zhang's plan. Are you going to snatch food from the tiger's mouth? I know my own abilities. I just see an opportunity to make money. If I don't seize it, I'll be itching inside. You always say I'm a country bumpkin. Implicitly, you mean I don't have money, right? In that case, I'll ask. Zhou Fen did call her husband and directly demanded his work computer. Su Buiyuan thought Zhou Fen was investigating the female graduate student's matter. He had no videos or photos related to the female graduate student, so he wasn't afraid of Zhou Fen checking. He said the computer was in the university office, and Zhou Fen could get it herself. Zhou Fen had Fang Hao turn around, went to the School of Economics, and got her husband's work computer. She said, take a look for yourself. Whether you can make money or not depends on your abilities. You know about this yourself. Keep it to yourself, don't cause trouble for old Su. When Fang Hao reached out to take it, she didn't let go and said, what if I have a math problem in the future? How would you help me? Oh, you really think highly of me. I didn't major in mathematics. If I were to do research at your level, you're making it difficult for me. Don't be modest. I know you have delved deep into it now. It's not that you can't, but that you won't. Then I'll do my best when the time comes. Fang Hao found that Zhou Fen still hadn't let go. He asked, what else do you want? Call me Mom. Mom, let's go home. Okay, let's go home. After dinner, Fang Hao completely copied the data from Su Buiyuan's work computer and extracted the information about Blue Sky Group. After a quick review, he found significant issues within Blue Sky Group. These issues were common among family-style corporate groups, favoritism. Wait, this conclusion doesn't make sense. Su Buiyuan had already pointed out the problems with Blue Sky Group, so he shouldn't be optimistic. But why did he give it an excellent rating in the final evaluation? Could it be that Blue Sky Group has some hidden high-quality assets? Did I miss any information? Fang Hao pondered for a moment, recalling a scene in Su Buiyuan's office where there was a thick folder marked with Blue Sky Group. Inside, there should be a first-hand research report. I should have brought it back just now. After careful consideration, he decided to make another trip to Jiangdong University, using the excuse that Zhou Fen needed more materials. Su Buiyuan still thought Zhou Fen was going to investigate. Although he had an in-depth understanding of the female graduate student in his office, there were no videos or photos involved, so he wasn't afraid of Zhou Fen checking. He allowed his assistant, who was still at the university, to open the door and let Fang Hao in. Once inside, Fang Hao not only took the Blue Sky Group folder but also took folders labeled with Jiulong Group and City South Park. He let his son sleep with his former mother-in-law while he worked in the study all night. He went through all the data, realizing that he had underestimated Zhang Lingtian's business achievements. However, this only fueled his determination. In the morning, he didn't go out, but revisited the data to ensure that no information was overlooked. In the afternoon, he went to the hospital to treat Mrs. Cheng and unexpectedly received a call from Li Xiaoxi, informing him about a patient named Cheng Yu who was in critical condition and needed his personal attention. Fang Hao rushed over. As he entered the maternity and child health hospital, Li Jun shouted that something was wrong. He quickly called Li Dong's wife. Aunt, something's wrong. Dr. Fang went to the maternity and child health hospital. I don't know if he came for Aunt Zhou. Should I stop him? Don't stop him for now. Let me ask your grandma. Li Dong's wife didn't hang up and covered the receiver, saying to Mrs. Cheng, Dr. Fang went to the maternity and child health hospital. Did you tell him? Mrs. Cheng asked. Li Dong's wife quickly replied, no, we didn't tell him anything. However, he's a doctor and is becoming more and more famous. Maybe the doctors and nurses there sought his help. Understood. Mrs. Cheng closed her eyes to rest. Li Dong's wife stepped out and told Li Jun not to block him but to report back promptly. On the other side, when Fang Hao met Li Xiaoxi, he accompanied her to the special care ward. The Cheng Yu mentioned by Li Xiaoxi was the same Cheng Yu he knew, but at this moment, she had become a vegetative state. Chapter 325, The Old Dog Pushes Someone Down the Stairs? A vegetable person is a unique human state similar to the survival state of plants. Apart from retaining some instinctive nerve reflexes and the ability to metabolize substances and energy, cognitive abilities, including self-awareness, are completely lost, and there is no proactive activity. Acute brain injury, multiple fractures in hands, feet, tendons, and bones, multiple rib fractures, lumbar spine bone injury, caused by falling off a building. Fang Hao did a quick examination and reached a conclusion, but he had doubts, so he expressed his skepticism. Li Xiaoxi said, according to the doctors who performed emergency rescue at the scene, the patient was indeed lying on the green lawn, consistent with the idea of falling from a building. Is there a way to wake her up? Fang Hao checked and noticed fingernail marks on Cheng Yu's neck, which seemed familiar. After a moment of recollection, he remembered. The shape and size were similar to the marks left when he fought with Zhang Lingtian that night, when Zhang Lingtian choked him. A scene flashed in his mind, Zhang Lingtian choking Cheng Yu's neck and pushing her down the stairs, or perhaps, rendering her unconscious and throwing her down. Insufficient evidence. Fang Hao shook his head, returning to rational thinking. Although Zhang Lingtian was despicable, he wouldn't go to such extremes. However, Li Xiaoxi only saw Fang Hao shaking his head and thought he couldn't treat the condition. She said, although you have made breakthroughs in many aspects, treating vegetative states remains an unsolved challenge. Don't think too much about it. She felt a bit smug internally. Fang Hao, even you find this medical challenge difficult. Fang Hao took another look at Cheng Yu, took out his phone to snap a photo, and then left with Li Xiaoxi to her office. Directly, he said, Director Li, you have firmly established yourself in the maternity and child health hospital. You're flourishing. This is all thanks to you, Fang Hao. I feel that we are a match made in heaven. I excel in social relationships, which you lack, and you excel in medical skills, which I dream of having. Li Xiaoxi's eyes were quite revealing. She wanted to exploit Fang Hao. She continued, I've been following your situation at the Provincial People's Hospital. With Lu Yu's retirement and Lu Jing's transfer, you were not valued there at all. It was a waste of time. You should come to my hospital. Fang Hao remained unmoved. He said, if we talk about our relationship, you won't believe it. Let's make a deal. We can collaborate on publishing papers. You can use them to apply for a higher position. At the end of this year or the beginning of next year, you might have a chance to be promoted to deputy director. Li Xiaoxi's eyes lit up, but she continued to look at Fang Hao, revealing more of her intentions. She asked, Fang Hao, what do you want from me? Give me a gel electrophoresis apparatus. I've sent you the model and make. Gel electrophoresis apparatus? What do you want it for? Li Xiaoxi was a bit disappointed. If Fang Hao had proposed an ambiguous request, it would have been better. For research. Otherwise, how could I produce results and publish papers? As you just said, I have something you don't, and you have something I don't. Give me a straightforward answer. If the deal is acceptable, you can pick it up from your husband's warehouse, and I'll take it away. Later, when I publish the paper, your name will be on it. Li Xiaoxi couldn't refuse. As Fang Hao and Li Xiaoxi left the maternity and child health hospital, Fang Hao did not accompany her to enter the warehouse. Instead, he waited at the intersection. As Fang Hao loaded the gel electrophoresis apparatus onto the car, Li Xiaoxi suggested, how about we have dinner together tonight and soak in a hot spring? Another day. Fang Hao got into the car and drove away. Another day? What day? Sure. Li Xiaoxi's heart fluttered. These were such bold and fierce words, touching her deeply. However, Fang Haoyan's actions did not match his words. She stared as Fang Hao walked away, then suddenly saw a familiar car passing by. It was from the Li family. Could it be that the notification was true? The head of the Li family had informed the family group that no one was allowed to approach Fang Hao, obstructing him from treating the elderly lady. Li Xiaoxi now understood why Fang Hao didn't go to her husband's company warehouse but traded here. Oh, why did I even think about inviting him to the hot springs? Li Xiaoxi felt uncomfortably hot, relieved that Fang Hao didn't agree. Otherwise, if her involvement with Fang Hao spread to the family, she would be in big trouble. Cheng Yu? With the surname Cheng? Could it be the woman from the Cheng family who approached Fang Hao without permission? The more Li Xiaoxi thought, the more she felt that Fang Hao was really a troublemaker. Fang Hao returned home and set up the electrophoresis apparatus. Zhou stood at the door and said, Fang Hao, you're not turning your home into a laboratory, are you? It's too dangerous. Tian and Jia Jia are still young. They don't understand chemical reagents. In case of a spill or accidental ingestion, it would be bad. Fang Hao replied, I won't make such mistakes. Zhou continued, my elder brother just gave me some information. The transfer of Zhou Long to the capital hospital is confirmed. With one less competitor now, do you have a chance to become the director? No. Fang Hao didn't need much thought to come up with an answer. Zhou raised an eyebrow and said, then don't be a doctor anymore. Come back and research mathematics with me. Your role will be more prominent, especially considering your solution to that problem. There's further modeling and applied research ahead. Your impact will be much greater. I'm not interested. I want to invest in stocks and make money. I want to be wealthy and get rid of the image of a rural guy. Humph. I wish you wealth. Zhou stopped persuading him. Fang Hao probably wasn't good at business. Once he lost those millions, he would come back obediently to do research. Fang Hao's ex-wife later initiated a video call, and he let his son answer. The first thing she asked was, Tian, Mom hasn't been home these days. Did your dad bring a new mom back? No, it's just me and Dad, Grandma. Okay, don't let Dad bring a new mom back. The new mom doesn't like you and will hit you. I don't like the new mom. I only like you, Mom. Good. Xiaoro, how are you teaching the child? Zhou took the phone, let Tian go inside to write, and looked at the video interface, which showed only the daughter wearing a mask, appearing to be in the car. She asked, how's Jia Jia? How is the treatment going? We didn't find a matching bone marrow, so we could only go through chemotherapy. It's stable for now, but we still need suitable bone marrow in the future. You, your dad, and other relatives in the family can go for matching. Don't worry. Mom, you and Dad are quite old, it's not suitable. Don't bother. Beyond 40, you should be cautious. Don't worry about Jia Jia, I'll handle it. Oh, where's my husband? He's busy. I'll say it again, bring Jia Jia back, let Fang Hao treat her. Fang Hao is in a very good research state now, with his thinking at the most active level. Let him figure out a solution, he's much more professional than you. Okay, if this treatment doesn't work, I'll bring Jia Jia back for my husband to treat. Mom, take care of yourself. Listen to my husband. I'm busy now, I'll call my husband later. Suro hung up. Is there nothing else to talk about with me? Zhou wanted to inquire about the new man that her daughter found, but her daughter hung up. Fang Hao ignored her after installing the equipment, focusing on researching Chang Yu's situation. Ignoring the suspicious aspect of Chang Yu's fall, that medical challenge of a vegetable person seemed to be like a magnet, deeply attracting him. He started downloading the latest research papers on brain neuroscience to see the foreign research results. Zhou didn't disturb Fang Hao and took the initiative to put her grandson to sleep. In the middle of the night, Fang Hao received a transoceanic call from his ex-wife. She opened with, Husband, it's late where you are. Do you miss me? Bah, who would miss you? Fang Hao said, I saw Chang Yu, lying in the intensive care unit at the maternity and child hospital. She was pushed down by your old man and turned into a vegetable. There was a brief silence on the other end, and then his ex-wife left a harsh sentence before hanging up. His ex-wife said, You're spouting nonsense. Ling Tian wouldn't do that.